Let us continue our discussion. Our topic is rectangular components of a force in three dimensions. Now we have this first problem, illustrative problem. Find the components of a given force and the direction angles with respect to the positive references or reference axis. This was taken from the book of Russell Charles Hibbeler in 1986. Okay. The one in the module has a different solution. Let's have another solution for this particular problem. Let's use yung concept ng unit vector, position vector in solving for the components and for the direction angles. Okay, so we have this force F 600 pound force directed along line AB. So this would be the direction or the position of the force. Okay. So we are required to solve for the components, okay? Components of the force along x, y, z axis and the direction angles. So ano yung direction ng force F or the 600 pound force relative to the three axes. Okay? So, first step is to, since yung force natin, yung tail niya ay hindi sa origin. So, first step would be, we need to identify the coordinates of the 2 points A and B where the force is positioned or directed. Okay? So, let us solve first for or identify, kasi we can easily identify naman yung coordinates ng point A. So, ano yung coordinate ng point A natin? So, x coordinate of point A. So, remember, this is x-axis, y-axis, z-axis ito. So, what is the coordinate or x coordinate of point A? So, wala, ano? Kasi it's along y-z plane. Yung point natin is along y-z plane. So, 0 yung x-coordinate ng point A. How about the y-coordinate of point A? The y-coordinate of point A, ano ang y-coordinate? Y is ito. So, we're solving for this distance. So, from the origin, ito papunta doon. What is that distance given yung angle natin na 60 degrees? So tapos meron yung hypotenuse na 3 feet. This distance, we have a right triangle. So opposite side. So yung angle natin, opposite side is the y coordinate of point A. So that is equivalent to, solve natin. Impromptu lang ito. So to solve for the y-coordinate, so that is, so opposite sides, so sine. So 3 feet sine of 60 degrees. So opposite side. Okay. So what is 3 sine 60? Solve lang natin. That is 2.598. So 2.598 feet. And the z coordinate, ito. What is the z coordinate? What is this distance of this point from the origin? Pataas. So that is 3, since adjacent side yan, so cosine. 3 cosine 60, that is 3 halves. So this is 1.5 feet. So ito yung coordinate ng point A natin. Next is to identify also the coordinates of point B. X coordinate of point B is, so ito yung distance natin, that is 5 feet. Okay, 5 feet. Oh, by the way, yung y coordinate pa natin, I forgot to nakalimutan ko yung sign ano kasi yeah. Yan yung madalas natin makalimutan yung sign ano. So ito yung positive pala, positive y, positive z yung pataas. So from the origin and this is positive x-axis. So negative yung x-axis dito, negative yung y dito, negative yung z pag pababa from the origin. So itong y coordinate kanina, since nandito siya, negative ito, negative 2.598. Okay? Okay, nasipon pa ako. Alright, so ito, yung x coordinate na going back to point B, the x coordinate would be, ito, positive siya, so 5 feet according to this measurement. And then the y coordinate niya is 1.5. Ito, this is 1.5, positive. Sorry. And then the z coordinate is, the z coordinate, wala siyang z. So point B is along xy plane. So 0 yung z coordinate natin. Ayan, nagkamal na pa ako. Okay, so okay na yung coordinates natin. Okay, remember kanina sa discussion natin, sa first part, we can represent yung ating force in its Cartesian vector form. So the Cartesian vector form of this force is equal to, where would I write it? Ito na lang. The Cartesian vector form, F is equal to F x I, no, plus F y j plus F z k. So Fx, Fy, Fz would be the components of this force along the three axes. So remember, we're solving for the components and the direction angles. Okay, so yan yung mga kailangan nating i-solve. And remember also kanina, when we have discussed, kanina tuloy, kanina, in the previous video, when we have discussed yung concept ng position vector and unit vector. So let me see yung page na yun para flash. Ayan. So ito yung ating Cartesian vector form of using the concept of the position vectors and unit vectors. So from this, F is equal to, i-red ko na lang yung F natin, red na lang kasi parehas na F gamitin natin, no? Yung isa kasi sa module natin naka-bold siya, no? So is equal to F na naka-red, R dapat naka-red pala to, red na lang yung Cartesian vector form. So let me delete that. F is equal to yung magnitude ng force natin, which is 600. Okay. It's equivalent to R, the position vector natin. Let's say, red na lang natin. Kasi mahirap na may handwritten na bold, no? Ayan. So remember, this is the position vector R. And this is actually the distance. No? Ito yung distance ng point A to point B. Okay, so basically we are solving for the Cartesian vector. If we can solve for the Cartesian vector form, and which that means we can easily identify now the x, y, z components of the force. So remember, our solution is different from what we have in the module. Just to present to you, yung concept or application ng position vectors, unit vectors natin. So let's solve first for the position vector R. How do we solve for the position vector R? So position vector R is we simply solve it subtractive siya, no? I-subtract lang natin yung corresponding coordinates ng x, y, z coordinates from the points. So remember, head minus tail palagi. Head minus tail tayo. So since the force is directed towards B, so ang head natin ay nandito sa my point B. So i-subtract lang natin. So the position vector R now is equal to, so x, isulat ko na nga lang, ayan, xb ba? Tama. Minus xa I, don't forget yung ating direction, plus yb minus yaj plus zb minus za k. Alright. So, that's equivalent to xb is 5 minus 0 I plus yb is 1.5 minus negative, dapat minus negative 2.598, i-bracket na lang natin, j plus z is here is 0 yung z coordinate natin for point B, so 0 minus 1.5. Alright, so R now, our R. Our position vector now is, so 5i plus, so 1.5 minus negative 2.598 is equivalent to 4.098 j, okay, plus, so 0 minus 1.5, that's negative 1.5 k. Okay. So, yan yung ating position vector. And then next, so we have solved for the position vector. Ito. Now remember, this is actually in feet. Yung unit natin for the position vector is a linear quantity. In this case, we have feet, yung unit natin. Next, let's solve for the distance between point A and B. So, solve na natin to. Solve naman natin tong distance between points A and B. So, distance formula natin. To copyin lang natin to. Expression na yan. So 5 minus 0. So, distance formula, discuss ito kanina, yung sa previous video. XA minus XB minus XA, 5 minus 0 squared, plus YB minus YA squared. So, that is 1.5. Ulit, 1.5 minus negative 2.598. Plus 0 minus, so ZB minus ZA squared. 0 minus 1.5 squared. So that would be, ano ang sagot natin dito? Compute lang natin. Ilan yun? So, distance natin is 6.637 feet. Feet, yan yung distance natin. So, feet. So, okay na? Ito actually, itong ratio ng position vector natin sa distance is our unit vector U. Yung unit vector natin yan. Okay? So, I think we're good. So, F then, yung f natin in Cartesian vector form is equal to f, which is 600. Kita ba sa video? Times ito. Yung r natin is 5i plus 4.098j plus r should be minus 1.5k divided by 6.637. So remember, this is in feet. This is also in feet. Ito. So magka-cancel ito. So this is in pounds. 600 pounds yan. Alright? So kaya yung unit vector natin na u ay unitless or dimensionless quantity siya. So we're left with pounds later on as a unit for the Cartesian vector form of the force. So F now, so i-distribute lang natin. May common denominator tayo dito. So 600 times 5 divided by 6.637, that would be the x component of the force. 600 times 4.098 divided by ito, that would be the y component, and then 600 times 1.5 divided by ito, that would be the z component. Okay, so diretso na natin. So the answer would be, so for the x component, we have 452.0 calculator 011 0.011 okay, I okay plus 600 times 4.098 over 6.67, that is 370.469 J. Okay, minus 600 times 1.5 divided by 6.637 minus, it would be 135.603. Okay. So ito ay, lahat ng to ay in pounds na to. So nag-cancel to kanina, we're left with pounds as a unit for each of the quantities here. Okay, so pounds. So this would be the Cartesian vector form of force F. Ito. So since we are solving for the components of the force, yung components ng force natin, and going back to this, okay, going back dun sa equation natin. So Fx, the x component is simply ito lang. Ito. Remember, ijk would be the direction. So 452.011 pounds. Then Fy, or the y component, is equal to 370.469 J. And then the z component is equal to negative 135.603 J tuloy. Pounds, I'm sorry. 370.469 pounds. This is also in pounds. Okay? Oops. Hindi na nakikita. Ayan. Okay, so that would be in pounds. Okay, next is to solve for the direction angles. Direction angles. So for theta x, so from our previous discussion, theta x is simply equal to the arc cosine of fx over f. Fx, ano natin, f is 600, no? So that is equal to fx is 4, or the arc cosine of 452.011 divided by f, which is 600. So theta x is equal to, theta x natin is 41.12 degrees. Whatever these would be our answers. Okay, so our answers. This would be theta x, and then theta y is equal to the arc cosine of fy over f. So that's equivalent to, so we have 370.469 over f natin is 600. So theta y is equal to 51.87 degrees. And then lastly, theta z, or what I put it, is equal to the arc cosine of fz over f. So that's equal to negative, or oops, I forgot. It should be the arc cosine. Ayan, nakalimutan ko ito ilagay. So it would be arc cosine of negative 135.603 divided by 600. So theta z is equal to 103.06 degrees. Okay, so that's number 1 problem. We have solved it using the concept of vector algebra, the application of yung concepts kanina, unit vector, position vector. So ito yung Cartesian vector form ng force natin. Ito. Okay? So yung mga coefficients nito are actually the components along the directions. The components along the x, y, z axis. Okay? Okay, so that is problem number 1. Okay, let's solve the other problems in a separate video na lang. I hope clear ito, problem 1 natin.